Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. What happens when the players on the pitch actually care more about the team's legacy than, the executives in the boardroom?
That is, well, it's a really fascinating dynamic to look at.
Right, and we are going to explore that exact dynamic today. But before we get into this absolute masterclass of insight, please take a quick second to hit that subscribe button for Rugby Obsession, just so you never miss out on these conversations.
Definitely do that.
So today we have a bit of a mission for you, the listener. We're looking at a recent Planet Rugby article, and it details All Blacks legend Kieran Reid's thoughts on the current state of New Zealand rugby.
Yeah, and it's a really revealing piece.
It is, and I want to set the tone right out of the gate here. We are framing this positively. I mean, this isn't just some story about administrative turmoil.
No, not at all.
Right. At its core, this is just an incredibly inspiring look at how deeply former players care about the legacy of their jersey and, their absolute willingness to step up and protect the game that they love.
Yeah, and the source material provides just a brilliant foundation for this. The Planet Rugby article actually pulls from Reid's recent appearance on the Between Two Beers podcast.
Oh, I love that show.
It's great, right? And because of the casual, long-form nature of that specific podcast, we get this rare, unguarded look directly into the mind of rugby royalty.
Yeah, you don't usually get that.
Exactly. It completely strips away the usual PR spin that, athletes are so heavily trained to use. We are hearing the genuine, completely unfiltered care Reid has for the sport.
Which is so refreshing.
It really is. And as we analyze his comments, we want you to think about how these themes apply to the organizations you care about. Because, well, we will be asking for your thoughts and comments by the end of this deep dive.
For sure. So we have this stark contrast playing out in New Zealand rugby right now. On the pitch, there is an expectation of supreme, world-class standards. I mean, the All Blacks are literally synonymous with winning.
Absolutely. The standard is perfection.
Right. But in the front office, there is just an echoing void. The article notes that while Dave Rennie has been appointed as the All Blacks head coach, the corporate level is just completely hollowed out.
It's basically a ghost town up there.
Yeah. They are operating without a CEO, without a CFO, and without a high-performance manager.
Which is wild because, those aren't just empty desks. Those are the load-bearing walls of a modern sports franchise.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, and to understand why Reid describes this situation as an organization in turmoil, and he actually calls it hard to watch, we need to look at what those roles actually do.
Especially that high-performance manager role, right?
Exactly. In an elite sports context, the high-performance manager is the crucial bridge between the boardroom and the pitch. They're the person who ensures the sports science department, the medical staff, and the coaching team have the budget and the technology.
And the strategic alignment to actually win games.
Yes, precisely. They architect the entire environment, so the head coach only has to worry about tactics. When that role is vacant, the whole ecosystem loses its strategic direction.
I look at this, imagine a Michelin star restaurant, right? Where the entire front of house management team has abruptly quit.
Oh, that sounds like a nightmare.
Right. The chefs in the kitchen are still expected to produce absolute perfection on the plate every single night. But if the front of house manager is gone, the chefs don't just keep cooking normally.
No, they're going to be distracted.
Exactly. They start worrying about whether the fresh produce will actually arrive tomorrow morning, or, if the electric bill was paid, or if the reservations are overbooked. It pulls their mental energy completely away from the plate.
That is a perfect analogy.
But does the lack of a CFO or CEO actually trickle down to affect a player's mindset on the pitch? Or is this purely just about preserving organizational culture?
Well, that causality is exactly what Kieran Reid is highlighting. He really articulates the psychological toll this takes on the alumni and the current squad.
Because they feel that gap.
They do. He talks about knowing from firsthand experience what is poured into the all-black jersey. We are talking about severe physical sacrifice, years of relentless pressure.
It's just a lifetime of dedication, really.
Exactly. When a player crosses that white line, they're fulfilling a psychological contract. They give absolutely everything to the organization, and in return, they expect the organization's management to reflect that exact same level of commitment.
Right. That psychological contract is vital. Reid essentially wants the boardroom to bleed for the team the exact same way the players do.
Spot on.
Because when a player looks up and sees massive vacancies in the executive suite, it sends this this subconscious message that the organization just isn't matching their fiscal sacrifice.
Yeah, it feels like a betrayal.
Right. And a player might not care about the daily spreadsheets a CFO manages, but they absolutely feel the downstream effects. Like a missing CFO means budgets for recovery protocols or travel logistics might stall.
Or the team hotel gets downgraded.
Exactly. Or the sports science department can't afford the latest GPS tracking technology. That just breaks the inherent trust between the athlete and the governing body.
And it introduces friction into an environment that requires zero friction to succeed. I mean, elite athletes thrive on routine, predictability, and just absolute trust in their support structures.
So if a foundation is shaky,
Then the uncertainty trickles straight down into the locker room. It's a complete breach of the standard. But, the most compelling part of this story isn't the vacuum itself.
oh,
It's the reaction to the vacuum.
yeah.
The administrative failure is basically acting as a catalyst, and it's pulling the veterans out of the woodwork.
Yes. Because this leadership vacuum is actively harming the player's mindset, the obvious question becomes, who actually has the cultural authority to step in and fix it?
Right? Who can bridge that gap?
And that brings us directly to the alumni. Reed mentions in the podcast that he has been speaking to a few of the older fellas. These are veterans who care deeply about the legacy, and he notes they would give anything to help the team return to the top.
That's just so cool to see.
It really is. He even states he would willingly put his name forward if New Zealand Rugby asked for assistance.
Which is huge. I mean, he is offering an incredible reservoir of institutional memory. The article points out that New Zealand Rugby could utilize Reed's talents, along with, other legends of the game like Dan Carter and Richie McCaw.
I mean, imagine having that brain trust on speed dial.
Right. But what really stands out is Reed's humility regarding this offer. He explicitly acknowledges that his place is now removed from the active playing squad.
He's not trying to step on any toes.
Exactly. He isn't aggressively demanding a corner office or trying to launch some corporate coup. He's simply offering a lifeline to an administration that is visibly struggling to maintain the culture.
Now, I want to dive into how those legends could practically step in, but I want to take a quick second here to remind you, our listener, to hit that subscribe button for Rugby Obsession.
Definitely hit subscribe.
We love unpacking the hidden mechanics of the sport for you, and subscribing just ensures you keep getting these deep dives delivered straight to your feed. So, looking at this alumni offer, I have to play devil's advocate for a minute.
Okay, let's hear it.
There seems to be this dangerous assumption in sports that great players automatically make great administrators.
Oh, the classic halo effect.
Exactly. Just because Dan Carter can kick a drop goal under immense pressure in a World Cup final, does that automatically mean he knows how to navigate international broadcasting rights?
Probably not.
Right. Or design a modern corporate financial strategy. The skill set required to dominate a physical, tactical game is entirely different from the skill set required to manage a massive corporate workforce.
Yeah, that halo effect is a trap so many sports organizations fall into. They just assume athletic brilliance translates to corporate competence.
Which it rarely does.
You are entirely correct that handing a multi-million-dollar budget to a legendary player simply because they were great on the pitch is, well, it's a recipe for disaster.
Right.
But the value proposition Reed is offering isn't about him balancing the checkbook or, negotiating broadcasting rights. The true value is cultural guardianship.
Oh, I see. So the value is acting as a cultural guardrail.
Exactly.
They become the people who can look the board of directors in the eye and say, like, hey, this financial decision you're about to make will actively damage the locker room.
Precisely. When you have an empty high-performance manager role, you need someone who knows what a world-class environment actually feels like to set the benchmark.
Because they've lived it.
Right. Richie McCaw and Kieran Reed know the precise temperature of a winning locker room. They know the standard required to dominate internationally. Bringing them in as cultural architects or advisory figures ensures that the corporate side of the building never loses sight of what the jersey actually demands.
That makes total sense. They bridge the disconnect we just discussed.
Exactly. They translate the passion of the pitch into the strategy of the boardroom, ensuring the executives stay aligned with the athlete's reality.
That just makes the administrative side of the sport infinitely more human. It's about them setting the true north for the organization.
Yeah, it grounds the whole operation.
And while the national governing body, New Zealand Rugby, is trying to figure all of this out at the top level in Wellington, Kieran Reed isn't just sitting idle waiting for an invitation.
No, he's getting to work.
Right. He is actively solving the leadership problem right now, on the ground, at the club level with the Crusaders.
And to fully appreciate what Reed is doing here, we should quickly clarify the structural relationship.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So New Zealand Rugby is the national governing body. They manage the All Blacks and the overarching corporate strategy. The Crusaders are a regional club team that competes in Super Rugby.
They're essentially the pipeline.
Exactly. They act as a vital pipeline, developing the talent that eventually plays for the national team. Reed has maintained a strong connection with the Crusaders, and he told the podcast that since retiring, he has actually taken charge of their emerging leaders group.
He made such a poignant observation about that work, too. He said that not many rugby teams in New Zealand are actually investing in the potential of their next generation of leaders.
Which is crazy when you think about it.
It is. He praised the Crusaders for proactively investing time and resources into this specific group. And this just highlights a bizarre blind spot in elite sports for me.
Oh, completely.
Teams will obsessively train physical skills, right? They will measure a player's sprint speed down to the millisecond. They'll use specialized software to analyze a scrum engagement from 10 different camera angles.
But the soft skills get ignored.
Yes. When it comes to leadership, there is this archaic assumption that it's just this innate mystical aura. Like, you either have it or you don't.
Yeah, the sporting world often defaults to the give the loudest guy the captain's armband approach. But leadership is a highly technical skill. It has to be taught, nurtured, and relentlessly practiced, just like a line-out throw or a defensive read.
It doesn't just happen by accident.
No, it doesn't. Reed recognizes that the physical demands of elite rugby are so overwhelmingly high that soft skills are frequently just completely ignored by coaching staffs. His intervention at the Crusaders is designed to fix exactly that.
So what does that actually look like in practice?
Well, he is taking young, highly talented athletes and putting them through manufactured pressure scenarios.
This sounds exactly like the classic corporate oversight known as the Peter Principle.
Oh yeah, explain that for the listeners.
So in the business world, a company will take their absolute best top-performing salesperson and just promote them to sales manager.
Right, happens all the time.
But they never actually teach that person how to lead a team or handle conflict or manage a budget. They just assume because the person is great at selling, they will naturally be great at managing.
And it almost always backfires.
Yes. Rugby has historically done the exact same thing. You promote your best, most talented player to captain without ever teaching them the mechanics of leadership.
And Reed is actively dismantling that Peter Principle within the Crusaders. I mean, he isn't just giving these young players motivational speeches.
Right, he's going deeper.
Much deeper. He is teaching them the granular mechanics of leadership. He is training them on how to read the emotional temperature of a locker room after a devastating loss.
Wow, that's incredibly specific.
It is. He is teaching them how to communicate effectively with referees under extreme fatigue and how to deliver hard, uncomfortable truths to their teammates without destroying team morale.
Those are tough things to do.
Extremely tough. These are highly specific learned skills. By investing in this emerging leaders group, the Crusaders gain a massive competitive advantage. They aren't just relying on one captain, they are building a decentralized network of leaders across the entire squad.
That is a brilliant takeaway for anyone listening who manages a team. Honestly, whether in sports or in business, you cannot assume your top performers know how to lead. You have to explicitly teach them the mechanics of it.
Absolutely.
And by doing this at the club level, Reed is effectively future-proofing the sport from the bottom up. While the top-level national administration might be, paralyzed by executive vacancies, Reed is ensuring the grassroots foundation remains incredibly strong.
Yeah, he is building the mental and emotional architecture of the next generation. When these emerging leaders from the Crusaders eventually get called up to pull on the all-black jersey, they won't just arrive with elite physical skills.
They'll have a whole package.
Exactly. They will arrive with a deep, ingrained understanding of the cultural legacy and the leadership tools required to carry it forward. Reed is doing all of this purely out of a profound love for the game and a desire to protect the jersey.
It's a masterclass in servant leadership.
It really is. Yeah.
It is the ultimate act of giving back. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you, the listener, with a broader concept to explore on your own.
Something to chew on.
Right. Given the structural dynamic we've discussed between the national governing body and the regional clubs, think about this. If New Zealand Rugby continues to struggle with these massive vacancies in their corporate boardroom, will the true leadership and culture of the sport naturally decentralize?
That's a great question.
Will we see a permanent shift where the actual power and standard setting moves away from the executives in Wellington and down to the club level and these passionate alumni networks?
Like, will the grassroots just take over?
Yeah. If the boardroom stays empty, maybe the Michelin restaurant doesn't need a front-of-house manager. Maybe the chefs just take over the entire operation themselves.
It is a fascinating organizational question. I mean, when the formal structure falters, the informal networks like the alumni and the club cultures, they inevitably step in to fill the void.
Nature abhors a vacuum.
Exactly. The heartbeat of the organization might just permanently relocate.
And we really want to hear your thoughts on this. We are asking for your comments and opinions. Do you think former legends like Kieran, Dan Carter, or Richie should officially be handed these vacant CEO and high-performance roles?
Or is that just a halo effect in action?
Right. Do you want to see the alumni completely run the show, or should they remain as cultural advisors? Let us know in the comments. And of course, one final reminder, please make sure to subscribe to Rugby Obsession so you never miss out on these conversations. Thank you for listening to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive, and we'll look forward to you listening to our next episode.